That cold, creeping dread that washes over you the moment your dashboard erupts in a constellation of warning lights is a universal language of automotive despair. It's a silent, glaring announcement that your day is about to get significantly more complicated and your bank account is about to become substantially lighter. The moment you step into the sterile environment of a dealership service center, a carefully orchestrated performance begins. The service advisor, with a masterfully practiced look of grave concern, starts speaking in a coded language of comprehensive diagnostics, module interrogation, and exploratory labor, all of which are sophisticated euphemisms for draining your wallet before a single tool has been lifted. They are betting on one crucial thing: your fear of the unknown. They have built an entire industry on the premise that the modern vehicle is an unknowable black box and that any deviation from normal operation is a harbinger of catastrophic mechanical failure. But I'm here to pull back that curtain and reveal the truth. The overwhelming majority of these sudden electronic tantrums, the rough idles, the jarring transmission shifts, the phantom warning lights, the stubborn refusal to start, are not the death rattles of failing hardware. They are the digital cries for help from confused, data-clogged computers that are begging for the simplest IT solution in the world: a hard reboot. But before you even consider surrendering your keys and signing that terrifyingly blank work order, I am going to arm you with a powerful arsenal of secrets. This is the knowledge the service industry actively hopes you never acquire. These are the powerful, shockingly simple reset procedures they perform behind closed bay doors, often transforming a 5-minute fix into a 4-figure bill. To ensure you are always the master of your machine and the captain of your financial fate, do me one small yet powerful favor. Obliterate that like button and subscribe to the channel. It is an entirely free investment in your own empowerment, a guarantee that you will stay ahead of the curve and never, ever be taken for a ride again. Number 1. The Digital Heart Transplant, the Master ECU Hard Reset. Let us begin with the absolute nexus of your vehicle's operation, the Engine Control Unit, or ECU. To call it the car's brain is an understatement. It is the central nervous system, the consciousness, and the soul of the machine all rolled into one. This unassuming metal box is a sophisticated computer, processing millions of lines of code and a torrent of data from over 100 different sensors in real time. It monitors everything from the precise nanosecond an ignition coil should fire to the exact mixture of air and fuel required for a single combustion event, all while cross-referencing exhaust gas oxygen levels, ambient air temperature, engine load, and your throttle input. It is a symphony of relentless calculation, and like any computer tasked with such a monumental non-stop job, it is susceptible to glitches, data corruption, and the digital equivalent of a nervous breakdown. One morning, your car is a paragon of reliability. The next, the dreaded check engine light is blazing, your once stellar fuel economy has vanished, the transmission feels like it's filled with gravel, and in the most alarming instances, the vehicle forces itself into limp mode, a severe self-preservation protocol that slashes engine power to a crawl, leaving you dangerously vulnerable on a fast-moving highway. The instinctive reaction is panic, envisioning failed engine components or a dying transmission. But more often than not, the mechanical hardware is in perfect health. The problem lies within the ECU's memory banks. It has become digitally constipated, clinging to erroneous data that is poisoning its logic. This data corruption can stem from a surprisingly wide array of sources. A momentary voltage sag from an aging battery during a cold start can be enough. An incorrect jump-starting procedure can send a damaging voltage spike through the system. Even something as innocuous as a sensor sending a single split-second faulty reading can be logged as a permanent fault, creating a logic loop that the ECU can't escape. It gets stuck operating on a false premise, leading to very real, very frustrating performance issues. Mechanics are not just aware of this, they depend on it. Their business model thrives on this information asymmetry. They know that connecting a diagnostic scanner and hitting clear all codes is often the complete and total fix, yet they will frame it as a preliminary diagnostic step and happily charge you an hour of labor, often upwards of $150, for this 30-second digital housekeeping task. Here is how you perform this exact procedure, for free, achieving a more thorough reset than most basic scanners can even offer. First, and this is non-negotiable, ensure total power down. The vehicle must be off, and for For absolute safety, remove the key from the ignition and put it in your pocket. Second, open the hood and secure it. Locate your vehicle's battery. Using the correct size wrench, always without exception, disconnect the negative battery terminal first. This terminal is typically black and will be marked with a minus sign, or the letters ANEG. Loosen the clamp and wiggle it off the battery post, moving the cable well away so there is no chance of it accidentally making contact again. Then, repeat the process for the positive terminal, which is usually red and marked with a plus sign, plus or POS. Third, here is the master step that separates a simple power cycle from a true hard reset. Take the two disconnected battery cable clamps, the metal ends you just removed from the battery, and hold them so they are touching each other. You are creating a closed circuit with the vehicle's wiring, completely isolated from the battery. Hold them together firmly for at least 60 seconds. This action forces a complete and rapid discharge of all the residual electricity stored in the various capacitors throughout the vehicle's electronic modules: the ECU, the transmission control module, the body control module. All of them have internal power storage that can keep their volatile memory alive for several minutes. This step starves them of that power, ensuring a total memory wipe. Fourth, after touching the cables together, let them hang, still disconnected, for a minimum of 30 minutes. An hour is even better. This extended period guarantees that every last drop of residual charge is gone and that every memory chip has been fully cleared. Fifth, the reconnection sequence is just as critical as the disconnection. Reconnect the positive, red cable first. Place it on the post and tighten it securely. You want zero wiggle. Only after the positive side is secure should you reconnect the negative, black cable. This order is a vital safety measure that prevents accidental and damaging short circuits if your wrench were to slip and touch a piece of the car's metal frame. Finally, the reawakening. Get in the car, close the doors, and start the engine. Let it idle, completely undisturbed, for a full 10 minutes. Do not touch the accelerator, do not turn on the climate control, do not touch the radio. During this idle period, the ECU is in a relearn phase. It is recalibrating its baseline parameters for everything: the precise idle airflow required, the base ignition timing, and the initial fuel trim values. You have essentially performed a factory reset on your car's entire electronic personality. The results are often astounding: a smoother idle than you've felt in years, a crisper and more immediate throttle response, and the beautiful absence of that check engine light. A small expert tip: this procedure will erase your radio presets, trip odometer, and clock. It may also require you to have a security code to reactivate your factory stereo. A few minutes of preparation noting these down can save you a minor headache later. Number 2. Taming the shakes. The idle air control system. Relearn. You've completed the master reset, your check engine light is off, but a stubborn and infuriating problem persists. The car shakes at a stoplight. The tachometer needle flutters up and down, dancing around the correct idle speed as the engine shudders and vibrates through the chassis. Sometimes it dips so low you're certain it's about to stall, only to surge back up at the last second. This inconsistency is the hallmark of a system that has forgotten how to breathe correctly at a standstill. This isn't a symptom of a dying engine. It's a clear indication that the idle air control system is fundamentally out of tune. To understand the fix, you must first understand the mechanism. When your foot is off the accelerator pedal, the large throttle plate inside the throttle body is almost completely closed, choking off the engine's air supply. To prevent it from stalling, the ECU must create a controlled vacuum leak, allowing a very precise, very small amount of air to bypass that closed plate. In older drive-by-wire cars, this was accomplished with a dedicated idle air control (IAC) valve, a small stepper motor that would open and close an air passage. In most modern cars, the ECU simply commands the main electronic throttle body motor to open the throttle plate by a fraction of a degree, a tiny crack to let the engine breathe. The ECU stores a baseline value in its memory for exactly how much air is needed to maintain a smooth, steady idle at, for example, 750 RPM when the engine is warm. However, this crucial baseline data is volatile. It's wiped clean every single time the battery is disconnected. It can also be rendered obsolete if you've recently cleaned the carbon and gunk buildup from your throttle body, which physically changes the airflow characteristics. The ECU is left in a state of amnesia amnesia, essentially guessing how much to open that throttle plate. Its initial guesses are often wrong, leading to the chaotic hunt for a stable RPM, surprise stalls, and surging that not only feels terrible but actively wastes fuel. A repair shop will often mystify this issue, calling the solution an idle air-fuel trim calibration or a throttle body baseline adjustment, making it sound like a complex procedure requiring specialized equipment. This is a deliberate tactic to justify a hefty labor charge. The reality is that you are simply guiding the computer through a relearning process it's designed to perform. Here is the procedure. First, the engine must be at full operating temperature. This is not a suggestion, it is a requirement. The fuel and air requirements of a cold engine are drastically different from a warm one. Start the car and let it run, or drive it gently until the temperature gauge on your dash is sitting squarely in the middle of its normal operating range. Second, once warm, place the vehicle in park or neutral for manual transmissions, and apply the parking brake firmly. Your goal now is to eliminate all other variables. For 5 full minutes, let the engine idle without any input whatsoever. Do not touch the steering wheel, as power steering can add load. Do not touch the pedals, and do not activate any electronic accessories. You are giving the ECU a quiet, stable environment to find its natural, no-load idle position. You may notice the idle smoothing out significantly during this period. Third, after the initial 5 minutes, it's time to teach the ECU how to handle the stress of running your car's accessories. Without touching the accelerator, turn your headlights on to their normal setting, not high beams, and switch your air conditioning system on to its highest fan speed with the temperature set to cold. The AC compressor clutch engaging places the single largest parasitic load on the engine at idle. Let the engine continue to idle under this combined electrical and mechanical load for another 2 to 3 full minutes. You will hear the engine RPM dip slightly and then recover as the ECU learns to compensate by allowing more air in to maintain stability. A crucial pro tip: at no point during this entire 10-minute sequence can you touch the accelerator pedal. Doing so instantly signals to the ECU that the driver is taking manual control, which immediately aborts the self-learning sequence, and you will have to start over from the beginning. When performed with patience, this procedure re-educates the ECU's idle control logic, resulting in a silky smooth, rock-steady idle that can make the entire car feel more refined. Number 3. The Digital Interrogator. Mastering the OBD2 scanner. That ominous amber-colored silhouette of an engine on your dashboard is a master of psychological warfare. It's engineered to trigger immediate anxiety, but it doesn't always signify a legitimate crisis. More often than you'd believe, it's a digital ghost, a stored fault code from a trivial, long-past event. The most common culprit is a loose gas cap. If you forget to tighten it until it clicks after refueling, the car's onboard diagnostic system will detect a pressure leak in the fuel vapor recovery system, log a fault code, and switch on the light. The light will then stay on, even if you later tighten the cap until it is manually cleared. A temporary sensor glitch during extreme weather, a single engine misfire on a cold morning. These can also trigger and store codes that don't represent an ongoing problem. But here's the profitable catch for the service industry. Once logged, the light is programmed to be persistent. It's a digital latch that can only be released with a diagnostic tool, and this is a foundational pillar of dealership and repair shop revenue. They bank on your panic. You bring the car in, and they charge you a diagnostic fee that can range from $90 to $200. For this fee, a technician spends 2 minutes plugging in a scanner, identifying the code, e.g. P0455, gross evap leak, clearing it, and perhaps tightening your gas cap. They then hand you a bill for their time, presenting the scanner as a mystical, expensive piece of equipment only they can wield. This is a complete fabrication. You can arm yourself with the exact same capability, and often more, for the price of a single, cheap oil change. A basic OBD2, Onboard Diagnostics 2 scanner is an essential, empowering tool for any modern car owner. You can buy a simple handheld code reader for as little as $30, or a more advanced Bluetooth Bluetooth dongle that pairs with a sophisticated app on your smartphone for about the same price. It is your direct line of communication to the car's brain, and it's shockingly easy to use. Here's the process. First, find your OBD2 port. On every vehicle sold in North America since the 1996 model year, this 16-pin port is required by law to be located within 3 feet of the steering wheel. It's almost always under the dashboard on the driver's side, sometimes hidden behind a small plastic flap. With the car completely off, plug your scanner into the port. It only fits one way. Second, insert your key and turn the ignition to the on position, but do not start the engine. This is often labeled as KO, key on, engine off. The dashboard will light up, powering the vehicle's modules and the OBD2 scanner itself. Third, follow the menu on your scanner or smartphone app. Select the option to read codes, scan for DTCs, or something similar. The tool will communicate with the ECU and display any stored codes. A powerful expert tip: pay attention to the type of codes. A stored or confirmed code is what turned the light on. A pending code is a fault the ECU has detected once but is waiting to see if it happens again before illuminating the check engine light. This is an early warning system you can use to fix problems before they become serious. Always write down the codes or take a screenshot. The code itself, e.g. P0301 for a cylinder 1 misfire, is the key to your research. Fourth, once you have the codes, navigate to the Clear Codes, Erase DTCs, or Reset MIL, Malfunction Indicator Lamp option. The tool will ask for confirmation. Once you confirm, it sends a command to the ECU to wipe the stored faults. The check engine light on your dashboard will instantly extinguish. This is profoundly important. If the light comes back on immediately or within a short drive, it confirms you have a hard or active fault. This isn't a ghost. It's a real problem that needs to be diagnosed and repaired. But now, instead of walking into the shop blind and afraid, you walk in empowered. You can say, I have a stored P0420 code for catalyst inefficiency. I've already cleared it once and it returned. Please investigate the cause, instantly elevating the conversation, saving you the diagnostic fee, and protecting you from being sold unnecessary repairs. Number 4. Exercising the infotainment demons. The head unit hard reboot. The electronic complexity of the modern automobile has long since expanded beyond the engine bay. The centerpiece of your dashboard, that bright, responsive touchscreen, is a powerful computer in its own right, often running a complex operating system like QNX, Linux, or Android Automotive. It manages your navigation, your music, your phone calls, and dozens of vehicle settings. And, being a computer, it is just as prone to crashing, freezing, and bizarre software glitches as your home PC. The symptoms are maddeningly familiar. The navigation suddenly thinks you're off-roading in a nearby lake. The touchscreen becomes completely unresponsive, ignoring your frantic taps. Your phone, which has been a trusted Bluetooth partner for years, suddenly can't connect. Or it connects, but no audio comes through. The backup camera display remains black, or the volume knob stops working. These are not signs of hardware failure. They are symptoms of a software crash or a memory leak. The dealership's response is often predictably expensive. They will first suggest a software reflash, a lengthy and costly procedure. If that doesn't work, their next step is often to recommend a complete replacement of the infotainment head unit, a repair that can shockingly cost thousands of dollars. They are replacing an entire computer because of a simple software glitch. In over 90% of these cases, all the system truly needs is the automotive equivalent of Ctrl plus to Alt-Delete. There are typically 2 ways to perform a hard reboot. The first is through the system's own software. When the system is operational, even if glitchy, park the car safely and dive into the settings menu. You need to look for options like System, About, Vehicle, or General. Buried within these menus, you will often find a command labeled Factory Reset, System Reboot, or Restore Default Settings. Do not be intimidated by the Factory Reset label. On most vehicles, this command is sandboxed, meaning it only resets the infotainment system itself. It will not affect your engine control, transmission, or safety systems. It will likely erase your saved radio stations, paired phones, and navigation history, but that is a small price to pay to restore functionality. Select the option button and follow the on-screen prompts. The screen will go blank for up to a minute before the manufacturer's logo reappears, signaling a fresh boot up. If the screen is completely frozen and you cannot access the menu, it's time to look for the hardware solution. Many automakers build in a hidden, physical reset button for exactly this scenario. It's almost always a tiny, recessed pinhole located somewhere on the face of the unit, often near the volume knob, a media slot, or along the bottom edge of the trim. You will need a paperclip, a SIM card tool, or the tip of a ballpoint pen to press it. With the vehicle running, press and hold this button firmly for 10 to 15 seconds. The screen should forcibly power down and then begin its reboot sequence. This is a direct, hardware-level command to restart the system's processor. An essential expert tip: always perform these resets while the car is in park. Fumbling for a pinhole button or navigating deep into system menus while driving is incredibly dangerous. This simple, free procedure can instantly fix a vast array of electronic gremlins, saving you from an astronomical and entirely unnecessary repair bill. It's the simplest IT trick in the book, and it's just as effective in your car as it is in your office. Number 5. Restoring the mind-muscle connection. Throttle, position, recalibration. You press the accelerator, expecting a smooth delivery of power, but instead, you get a frustrating hesitation. There's a dead spot in the pedal's travel, a moment of indecision before the car finally lunges forward. Or maybe you experience the opposite. The slightest touch of the pedal makes the car jerk aggressively, making smooth, low-speed driving in traffic nearly impossible. This is not a problem with your engine's power. It's a communication breakdown between your foot and the engine itself. It's a classic symptom of a desynchronized electronic throttle system. Gone are the days of a simple steel cable physically linking your gas pedal to the engine's throttle. Modern vehicles operate on drive-by-wire systems. Your accelerator pedal is no longer a mechanical lever. It's a sophisticated sensor, technically an accelerator pedal position sensor, APPS, that sends a variable voltage signal to the ECU. The ECU interprets this signal, considers other data like vehicle speed and engine RPM, and then sends a command to an electric motor on the engine's throttle body, which opens the throttle plate accordingly. It's a digital conversation. Over tens of thousands of miles, this conversation can become muddled. The sensor's baseline values can drift, and the ECU can lose track of the precise electronic start and end points of the pedal's travel. The result is that dreaded lag, jerky response, and sometimes even an erratic idle, because the ECU is no longer certain what constitutes a closed throttle. The fix is not the replacement of expensive sensors or throttle bodies, which is often the first thing a shop will suggest. The fix is to force the system to relearn the conversation, a simple recalibration you can do in 2 minutes. First, get in the driver's seat and, without touching the brake pedal, turn the ignition key to the on position. The dash lights should all illuminate, but the engine must be off. Second, in one very slow, deliberate, and smooth motion, press the accelerator pedal all the way to the floor. Feel for the point where it stops. The smoothness of this motion is critical. Hold the pedal fully depressed for a count of 5 seconds. Third, with the same slow and deliberate smoothness, release the pedal completely. Allow it to return to its resting position. Do not let it snap back up. You have just shown the ECU the full range of the pedal's electronic signal from 0% to 100%. To ensure it's locked in, repeat this full cycle. Slowly down, hold for 5, slowly up 2 more times for a total of 3 complete cycles. After the third release, turn the ignition key fully off and wait for at least 10 seconds. This pause allows the ECU to write the new calibration values to its non-volatile memory. Now, start the engine. You will very likely notice an immediate improvement in throttle responsiveness and a reduction in any previous hesitation. A pro tip for this procedure: before performing the reset, it can be highly beneficial to clean your throttle body. Over time, a ring of carbon can build up where the throttle plate closes, which can physically interfere with its ability to find the true 0 point. A clean throttle body ensures the electronic recalibration is as accurate as possible. Number 6. Erasing bad habits. The transmission. Adaptive shift reset. Your automatic transmission, once a seamless provider of smooth gear changes, has developed a frustrating personality. It holds on to gears for far too long, letting the engine rev uncomfortably high before finally shifting. Or it does the opposite, shifting too early and bogging the engine down. Perhaps the shifts themselves have become harsh, slamming into gear with a noticeable thud that reverberates through the car. This isn't necessarily a sign of internal mechanical doom, it's often the electronic brain of the transmission, the Transmission Control Module, TCM, stubbornly clinging to old driving habits. Modern automatic transmissions are called adaptive for a reason. The TCM is constantly learning and adapting its shifting strategy to your personal driving style. If you spend a month driving aggressively in city traffic, it will learn to hold gears longer and shift more firmly for better acceleration. If you then spend a month cruising gently on the highway, it will adapt to shift earlier and more smoothly for better fuel economy. The problem arises when these learned adaptive tables no longer match your current needs. If you buy a used car, you're inheriting the shift patterns of the previous owner. If you've just done a transmission fluid service, or if your own driving style has changed, the old data can cause a mismatch, resulting in a poor driving experience. The solution is to perform a digital exorcism, wiping the slate clean and forcing the TCM to relearn from scratch. This procedure sounds complex, but on a vast number of vehicles from manufacturers like Mercedes-Benz, Chrysler, and others, it's remarkably simple. First, get in the car, keep your foot off the brake pedal. Turn the ignition key to the on position, where the dash lights are on, but the engine is not running. Second, press the accelerator pedal firmly all the way to the floor, depressing the kick-down switch if your vehicle has one. Hold the pedal pinned to the floor. You need to keep it there for a minimum of 20 to 30 seconds. This is the signal to the TCM to prepare for a reset. Third, while still holding the accelerator pedal to the floor, turn the ignition key back to the off position. Do not remove the key. Fourth, you can now slowly release the accelerator pedal. Fifth, and this is the most critical step, you must wait. Do not open the door, do not press any buttons. Sit silently in the car for at least 2 full minutes. During this time, the TCM is actively erasing its stored adaptive shift data. Finally, you can start the car and go for a drive. For the first 20 minutes, drive normally and smoothly. The transmission is now in a rapid relearn mode. It is recording your throttle inputs, your acceleration rates, and your cruising speeds to build a brand new shift map tailored perfectly to you. The pro tip here is to be deliberate in your driving during this relearn phase. If you want smooth shifts, drive smoothly. If you want aggressive shifts, drive aggressively. You are actively teaching the transmission how it should behave. This free procedure can have a more profound impact on your daily driving experience than almost any other reset. Number 7. Clearing the air. Mass airflow sensor. Reset. Your engine feels sluggish, lazy, and unresponsive. It's gulping down more fuel than usual, and when you try to accelerate, it sometimes stumbles or bogs down before picking up speed. Your first instinct might be to blame the engine itself, but the problem may lie with its sense of smell, the mass airflow (MIF) sensor. This highly sensitive component sits in the intake tract between your air filter and the throttle body, and its sole job is to measure the precise mass of air entering the engine. It sends this critical data to the ECU, which then calculates the exact amount of fuel to inject for an optimal air-fuel ratio. Over time, the delicate heated wire or film inside the MAF sensor can become contaminated with dust, oil vapor from the crankcase ventilation system, or fibers from an aftermarket air filter. This contamination insulates the sensor, causing it to underreport the amount of air coming in. The ECU, believing there's less air than there actually is, injects less fuel. This creates a lean condition, which is the direct cause of hesitation, poor acceleration, and bad fuel economy. A shop will often diagnose this as a failed MAF sensor and quote you hundreds of dollars for a replacement part and labor. However, most of the time the sensor isn't broken, it's just dirty, and its learned correction values are corrupted. A simple cleaning and reset can bring it back to life. First, with the ignition off and the key in your pocket, locate the MAF sensor. It's a small plastic component plugged into the intake tube with an electrical connector attached. Carefully disconnect the electrical plug. Then, use a screwdriver or nut driver to remove the 2 screws holding the sensor in place. Gently pull the sensor straight out of the intake tube. Now for the cleaning. You must only use a dedicated MAP sensor cleaner spray, available at any auto parts store. Never use brake cleaner, carburetor cleaner, or any other harsh chemical, as they will destroy the delicate sensor elements. From a safe distance, liberally spray the cleaner onto the small wires or film visible inside the sensor housing. Blast it from multiple angles to wash away all contaminants. Do not, under any circumstances, touch the sensor elements with your fingers or a brush. They are incredibly fragile. Let the sensor air dry completely for at least 20 minutes. Once it's dry, reinstall it into the intake tube, tighten the screws, and firmly reconnect the electrical plug. Now you can perform the reset. The simplest method is the ECU hard reset we discussed earlier. Disconnecting the battery will clear the old incorrect fuel trim values the ECU had learned based on the dirty sensor's readings. After reconnecting the battery, start the car and let it idle for 10 minutes. This allows the ECU to establish a new baseline with the now accurate readings from the clean MAP sensor. A pro tip: if you don't want to perform a full battery disconnect, you can often reset the fuel trims with a capable OBD2 scanner. Look for an option called Reset Fuel Trims or Clear Adaptive Memory. This is a faster, more targeted way to force the ECU to relearn, and it often results in an immediate and dramatic improvement in engine performance and fuel efficiency. Number 8. Extinguishing the Amber Alert, the ABS light reset. That Amber ABS, anti-lock braking system, warning light on your dashboard can be particularly unnerving. It's directly related to your brakes, one of the most critical safety systems on your vehicle, and it immediately conjures images of brake failure and enormous repair bills. The truth is, while any brake-related warning should be taken seriously, the ABS light is often triggered by non-critical data glitches or simple sensor issues rather than a catastrophic failure of the expensive ABS pump or module. The ABS system relies on wheel speed sensors located at each of the 4 wheels to monitor their rotational speed. If it detects one wheel is about to lock up during braking, it rapidly pulses the brake pressure to that wheel to maintain traction. A host of issues can confuse this system. A momentary voltage drop from a weak battery can be enough to log a fault code. Hitting a large pothole can sometimes send a shock to a wheel speed sensor, causing it to send an erroneous signal for a split second. Most commonly, the magnetic tip of a wheel speed sensor can become covered in mud, road grime, or metallic brake dust, preventing it from getting a clear reading from the spinning tone ring on the axle. A dealer will charge you a significant diagnostic fee just to plug in their specialized scanner, which can read ABS codes that cheaper scanners can't. But before you do that, there are a few reset tricks you can try yourself. First is the fuse pull. With the car off, locate your fuse box. There may be one in the engine bay and one inside the cabin. Your owner's manual or the diagram on the fuse box cover will show you which fuses are for the ABS system. Simply pull the designated ABS fuse out, wait a full minute, and then push it firmly back in. Start the car. If the light is gone, you've just cleared the stored fault from the module's memory. If that doesn't work, try the steering wheel relearn, which works on many GM, Ford, and other models. The ABS system often works in conjunction with the traction and stability control systems, which need to know the steering wheel's position. Sometimes this calibration is lost. With the engine running and the car parked on level ground, slowly turn the steering wheel all the way to the full left lock position. Then, slowly turn it all the way to the full right lock position. Finally, return it to the center. Turn the car off, wait 10 seconds, and restart it. This can often reset the system and extinguish the light. A final pro tip: before trying any of these, take a look behind your wheels at the wheel speed sensors. They are small sensors with a wire coming out of them, located near the back of the brake assembly. If you see them caked in mud or grime, a simple cleaning with a rag or a can of brake cleaner can often be the actual fix. Cleaning the sensor and then performing a fuse pull reset is a highly effective 1-2 punch that can save you a fortune.